Celiac disease or celiac sprue. It is one of the very important malabsorptive and diarrheal diseases, also known as gluten-sensitive enteropathy. Celiac disease is an immune-mediated enteropathy that is mainly the disease of small intestine, triggered by the ingestion of gluten-containing foods in genetically predisposed individuals. These gluten-containing foods are wheat, rye, barley, and all the products which are made from them. The major pathological component of celiac disease is gliadin, which is alcohol-soluble fraction of gluten. Gliadin is actually responsible for the pathogenesis of celiac disease. The celiac disease is associated with human leukocyte antigens, which are HLA-DQ2 and HLA-DQ8. These are the antigens which are present on the antigen-presenting cells. Gliadin interact with these antigens on antigen-presenting cells and in turn stimulate the CD4 positive T cells, which are the helper T cells. These helper T cells mediate the damage. The helper T cells actually produce cytokines, which are responsible for the damage of the mucosa of the small intestine. Here you can see in the picture, the damage is mainly on the villi of the intestinal mucosa. These are the normal villi and these are the villi in the celiac disease. As you can see, these villi become atrophic. Antibodies are also formed in celiac disease due to the interaction between gliadin and human leukocyte antigens on antigen-presenting cells. These antibodies are anti-gliadin, anti-tissue transglutaminase, and anti-endomysium antibodies. These antibodies are also helpful in diagnosis of the disease. The patient of celiac disease clinically present with chronic diarrhea, bloating, chronic fatigue, and may also present with anemia because of chronic iron and vitamin malabsorption. The patient of celiac disease may also present with dermatitis herpetiformis, which are the characteristic itchy, blistering skin lesions that are formed due to IgA deposition in tips of dermal papillae. Individuals with celiac disease have also higher than normal rate of malignancy. The most common malignant tumors that are seen in patients of celiac disease are T-cell lymphoma and small intestine adenocarcinoma. So, despite gluten-free diet, if the symptoms persist, you may think of cancer. The gross morphology of celiac disease is of no importance, so we will discuss it very briefly. The absence or reduction of mucosal folds have been seen in intestine of some of the patients of celiac disease. You may also see mosaicism of the mucosa, which is the nodular appearance of the mucosa of the intestine in the patient of the celiac disease. The grooves and fissures in the mucosa have also been seen grossly. All these findings are not specific for the celiac disease, so the gross morphology of celiac disease is very less important. On histopathology of celiac disease, there is increased numbers of intraepithelial CD8 positive T lymphocytes, and it is believed that the increase in number of intraepithelial lymphocytes is a sensitive marker of celiac disease in addition to antibodies. You will also see the crypt hyperplasia. Increased rates of epithelial turnover, which is reflected in increased crypt mitotic activity, may limit the ability of absorptive enterocytes to fully differentiate and express proteins necessary for terminal digestion and transepithelial transport. You will also see villus atrophy, which is the flattening of villi, and this flattening of villi result into loss of mucosal and brush border surface area, which probably result into decrease in the absorption and lead to malabsorption. All these histological features and the damage is prominent in second portion of the duodenum and the proximal portion of jejunum. The other features of celiac disease on histology include increased numbers of plasma cells, mast cells and eosinophils, which are especially prominent within the upper part of the lamina propria. Adherence to gluten-free diet results in decrease in titers of anti-tissue transglutaminase and other antibodies of the celiac disease, and restoration of normal or nearly normal mucosal histology within 6 to 24 hours. And you will see on histology there will be no villus atrophy or crypt hyperplasia. A picture from the pathoma has clearly shown you the normal villi of the intestine. You can note the heights of the villi to differentiate them from the atrophic villi. At the bottom there are crypts at the bases of the villi, and they are less in number. This is the histological picture of the celiac disease, and you can clearly see the atrophy of the villi, which represent the flattening of the villi, and at the bottom you can see there are the increase in the numbers of the crypts, which represent the crypt hyperplasia. In this picture of Robin's pathology, you can clearly differentiate the flattening of villi or complete loss of villi or total villus atrophy. Note the dense nuclei of the plasma cells or the lymphocytes in the lamina propria of the mucosal layer of the intestine. Here is the magnified picture in which you can see the T represent the dense nuclei of the plasma cells, while E represent the pale staining nuclei of the epithelial cells. And this is the lamina propria of the mucosa of the intestine. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you will find this video helpful, productive and practical.
Hey warriors, be productive and like, share and comment the video. Subscribe my YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you will never miss any update from Morphopath.